I had never played an Ape Escape game until after graduating high school. However, I do remember seeing commercials to Ape Escape 2 when I was younger, and it looked like a lot of fun to me. Ape Escape 2 was developed by SCE Japan Studios, and was published by Ubisoft in the US. Before playing the game, I actually knew very little about the series. I knew the first game was credited for being the first game to require dual analog controls, but that was about it. So, after having played the game, what do I think of it? Is it good, bad, or just meh? The story begins with the professor going on vacation, leaving the lab in the hands of Natalie and Jimmy. While in control of the lab, Natalie and Jimmy are told to deliver some pants to the monkeys in Monkey Park. Upon doing so, Jimmy manages to mess everything up by sending some monkey helmets to the monkeys as well. One of the monkeys getting a helmet is Spectre, who turns all the other monkeys into his own personal army and releases them from the Monkey Park. Because Jimmy was the one who messed it up, it's now up to him to catch all the monkeys and stop Spectre. Okay, so the story is far from anything complex. However, a simple plot for a game like this is okay, as it's meant to just be an excuse for the gameplay. With that being said though, the setup certainly doesn't make Jimmy look all that great. He's not an awful main character, but he's not that great either. Honestly, the professor and Natalie are much more likable, and Spectre as the main villain once again is still pretty good. Ape Escape 2 is a collectathon 3D platformer. The game has a small hub world where you can save your game and access the levels. There is also a gacha box where you can spend 10 coins to get random items. The items will range from photos to stories, comics, music, and random things like fortunes and even more coins. You can take a look at these things from the library section in the hub. Lastly, there are mini-games that can be unlocked and played from the hub as well, and to me the mini-games really aren't that great. At the very least, you can play some of the mini-games with a friend. Most of the game takes place in open world levels. In each of the levels there are a set amount of monkeys, and you have to catch at least some or most of them in order to progress on to the next level. As you play through the game, you will earn gadgets which are used for both getting past certain obstacles in the levels as well as helping you capture monkeys. However, certain gadgets are far more useful than others. The stun club is great for fighting off enemies, activating switches, and stunning monkeys. The Sky Flyer is useful for reaching high places. The Monkey Radar, which is great for giving you an idea of where to find more monkeys. And the Catapult, which is great for hitting things from a distance. While other gadgets like the Banana Ring, which is used to lure out certain monkeys, the Electromagnet, which is used for moving or holding on to metal objects, and the Water Cannon, which is used for putting out fires, are three gadgets that are only used for very specific moments, but aren't very useful outside of these moments or aren't used very often. The RC car and the dash hoop are useful gadgets, like using the RC car to sit on switches and go through small openings, and the dash hoop is great for catching up to fast monkeys and going up slippery slopes. However, they are gadgets that I don't find myself using all too often. The absolute most useful gadget in the game would be the net, which is used for catching monkeys. Catching monkeys can actually be a bit challenging at times, as some monkeys may drop bananas to trip you up or turn around and attack you. There will even be monkeys who will be armed with guns or bombs and will use them against you as well, making some of these monkeys a bit more difficult to catch. Every single gadget in the game is controlled with the right analog stick, while jumping and camera controls are set to the R1 and L1 buttons, and for the most part it works rather well. The net, stun club, and catapult all have controls that make a lot of sense and feel really natural. The only gadget that I find to be a bit awkward is the water cannon. Even though its controls are similar to that of the dash hoop and the sky flyer, there's something about how it's used for the water cannon that makes it feel just a bit off for me. Switching between gadgets is pretty easy since you can assign gadgets to the square, circle, triangle, and X buttons. Surprisingly, the underwater controls aren't that bad either, as they're kept pretty simple and catching monkeys underwater isn't that hard. On very few occasions, you can ride a vehicle such as a robot monkey. The vehicles have okay but slow or clunky controls, making them not very enjoyable to use. In between certain levels, you will encounter boss fights against one of the Freaky Monkey 5, and for the most part, the boss fights aren't that bad. After you have beaten the game, you will then get the last gadget, the Power Punch, to find the last hidden monkeys, and after you've done that, you'll be then told how to start a new game and play as Spike instead of Jimmy. Visually, the game looks really good. The levels for the most part have fun and rather charming themes. Colors really stand out and the areas are detailed enough to make them very memorable. Character models are pretty good too, with the monkeys standing out the most. The monkeys have very expressive animations and facial expressions, making catching them just a little bit more enjoyable. Music used in the game is all very upbeat and rather catchy, with some of the tracks being very memorable. In the end, I was very pleasantly surprised by the game. The levels are very enjoyable and have some very fun themes to them. Plus, catching monkeys is pretty fun and the controls work surprisingly well. However, there are some moments like the vehicles where the controls aren't that great. Ape Escape 2 is a good game. In the US, the Ape Escape games haven't ever been very popular, which is a shame since it's a very solid collectathon game. It's the game that got me first into the series, and while the story and the characters aren't too complex, the gameplay is very enjoyable. If you're a fan of collectathons like Spyro or Mario, then I would suggest giving this game a try. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review and found it to be rather informative. If you'd like to see more reviews, please check out my channel. And please don't forget to subscribe. And if there are any other PS2 games you'd like to see me review in the future, please leave a suggestion down below. Well, I'm MCB the PS2 Gamer, and I'll see you guys next time.